You are watching Xirtus.
So this is something interesting. This was brought to my attention again by Chase. Are you familiar, or what is the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear Operation Looking Glass or in the chat? Ideally, without looking at the screen now, because I had a
So,
certain association, but it's not whatever this is.
so I mean, in terms of the spying over Europe and building cameras to record everything, is that?
Because I had heard it as like a thing, how should I say, like as a time chronovisor type thing almost, or as something with which you could predict the future or something like this. This is sometimes how it was presented in some quote unquote supposed whistleblower interviews, from what I can remember. But it may well be that this actually simply this type of military technology. I guess you had heard of it before. I haven't really. Where what are they doing? They are just photographing the Earth, or what is it exactly? Or
Yeah.
they
So
or it's the
basically,
community of government operation, continuity of government type thing.
so it's a lot of things at once. So at the point of after World War II, they have a group of pilots that are flying constantly all the time with peak efficiency to the point and extent of being able to refuel planes in the sky and amphetamines to keep pilots awake. So they're going 24 hours a day all around the world. And this is the
Refuel the
prototypical.
jet fuel and methamphetamines. Yes, go on.
Is well, yeah. What seriously? I
Of
mean,
course,
Adderall,
yes, of course.
like Adderall, and they had teams of people that they were able to keep in the sky essentially 24 hours a day, and for the purpose of documenting everything, which is essentially what we do today, but automated. And it was because of certain failings of Project Looking Glass that they had to start automating everything because and also inventing video because video at the time you could only record with film and film required development, and so they had all of these cool things where they would drop films from the sky and something would grab it and then they could develop that film later, and there would be like radio destruction capability all the way. But in 1961 I think it is, they had the Russians capture our B2 from Project Looking Glass, and then it's obvious what's going on. So they have to do something else, and they start working on higher altitude planes and higher altitude drones. And it's the beginning of drones for the purpose, UFOs or whatever you want to say, because they're creating crafts that they're purchasing crafts from Lockheed for the purpose of being above everyone else in the electrostatic tethering of the ionosphere. And that's where things get into, building technology and whatever technology they can do to record with video and use radio compression and not have to rely on film anymore, and which also trickles back down and leads to, NASA and all of these different companies are working on all of these different products, and particularly Martin, right? Because Martin was more interested in anti-gravity and all of that sort of stuff, ionic propulsion, and so satellites replaced the jets from Project Looking Glass.
Satellites, balloons, right? Some say.
Right, weather balloons.
um, Blimps in whatever form are not publicly accessible anymore. I still want those nice airships. Anyway, so related to the whole IO thing, have you ever watched these? Because I still have to watch it. But this is basically here it says election. We're not sure you're allowed to say that now or not, maybe, but anyways. And this is the whole idea. And even AJ brought this up many years ago, where he basically said, yeah, it's all these generals, it's the military, and they are really supporting Trump and they really want to save the country. So that's like kind of this understanding. I will
I've not
watch
seen
these
this.
series properly because this is all that it's about in this whole. So I'm familiar with the, let's say, general trope, but not with all the details here. At the same time, I'm equally wary, of course. Um, you know, how should I say? Just as I'm not simply blindly gonna trust in Santa, I'm not just gonna blindly trust any plan or anything like that. But we'll see, and I'll see what they say here exactly. I'm sure this is gonna be interesting.
Just for a second, because you brought up Looking Glass, I think it'd be cool to look at the E-6Bs. Have you seen those? So in 1998, because it's let's see here. The Boeing E-6 Mercury, otherwise formerly Hermes, okay, is an airborne command post and communication relay based on the Boeing 707. The original E-6A manufactured by Boeing's Defense Service for the United States Navy in 1989, replacing the EC-130Q, okay, which is a Lockheed Martin EC-130Q. Okay, and this is the one that was most familiar in the 70s, particularly, like 71 on. So E-6B was deployed in October 1998 during Clinton's presidency and has the ability to remote control Minuteman ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles, and airborne launch control system. It can hijack into the airborne launch control system, which is a big deal if you want to blow stuff up. And so you can do it from radio from the thing, which is kind of crazy. So E-6B replaced Air Force EC-135Cs in the Looking Glass role. So these are the Boeing Looking Glass planes that were used in the 80s, and they had huge teams in them. You can see how it was like a submarine in the sky, right? Pretty comfy place to be, because you're going to be up there for just days at a time, at least, because these things were able to stay up there for a long time. But when they replaced them for Looking Glass with the E-6, it's essentially a drone. And I think you could have people in here, but you don't need to. It's a fully remote plane. Here it is being fueled again.
And when was this changed to fully automatic thing?
98.
What year?
1998.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the kind of, it's just kind of interesting, I think, in terms of Google, AI, where things are today, where things were with the military in 1998.